listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everybody.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. We broadcast on CIVL on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation.
Yes, it is.
You can also catch the show on all the major podcasting platforms. And if you're really into it, you can join us when we do our live stream to pre-record the show on the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and on my YouTube channel. And all the podcasts are available on drlesliephillips.com.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week we have a different topic under that general umbrella.
Yes, it is.
Last week we talked about manifestation, and I think there was a fair bit of interest in that. And so it was suggested that we might continue that theme this week. And so...
Sorry, Darrell. Yeah, it was on manifestation, but this is more on emotions around manifestation and how to control your emotions so that we can, do manifestation, but also have a good life.
Thank you. Yes, I was just about to say that's what the title was. In case you think I'd forgotten, I hadn't. I was just about to say that it was learn how controlling your emotions and feelings help you create your reality. That's the title of tonight's show. And that is what we're going to talk about. So that should be fun. And of course, we love the show to be as interactive as possible. And so for all those of you who are listening live, get your fingers at the ready, because you can type your questions for Corey to read out. You can join in the chat and the discussion. So really, in a way, what we're talking about this evening is kind of like a segment of the law of attraction, a segment of the overall recipe for reality creation and manifesting. So the law of attraction says you create your reality from the vibration that you are. Similar to, I guess, the law of karma, which says what you put out is what you get back. So our universe operates on the basis of a mirroring effect. So basically, the energy that you are now is reflected back at you at the circumstances that you are seeing show up in your life, in the people that you are seeing show up in your life, and in the future reality that you are creating for yourself. Now, the vibration that you are is made up of many things, but one of them is your emotional state. So let's ask the question, what is your emotional state? And I would love everyone listening live to type in our discussion in our chat. What is your emotion right now? What's your main emotion? And if you don't know, and many of us are not in touch with our emotions at all, or we might think we are, and it might not even be our emotions. So I'll invite you all, unless you're driving, just to close your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes and also take a moment to connect with your body. And you can connect with your body, you can do it through your breath, because the body is the one that's breathing. You can do it through your physical senses, because the physical senses belong to the body. So you can listen to my voice. You can feel the sensation of your clothes, the heat if you're in the same heat wave that we are. But also you can ground. So I'll invite you all right now to be aware of the energy center near the base of your spine. and create a flow of energy from that energy center to flow all the way through the chair that you are sitting in, through the floor of the room, through the foundations of the building, and through all the levels and layers of planet Earth. So connect yourself at your first chakra and the center of the earth. And one of the things that that does is it pulls you into the here and now. It focuses you in your body. And it is your body that is having the emotion. So the more that you can get connected with your body, the more aware that you can be of your body's reality. And so I'm going to invite you actually to bring your focus to about 2 finger widths below your navel. And this is the position of your second chakra. And it's the energy center that relates to emotions. And I want to invite you to just hang out there for a few moments and let yourself feel. Let yourself really feel your emotional state. And just allow it to be whatever it is. So for some of you, you might clearly and instantaneously know how you're feeling. For others of you, maybe you're a little bit confused, or maybe there's many different emotions going on in there. But I want you to feel what's going on emotionally. And then I would invite you to bring your conscious awareness up and into the center of your head. Allow yourself to be aware from the center of your head what the main emotion in your body is. And also notice if there's a difference in how you perceive and experience your emotion when you are seating your consciousness in your second chakra, or when you are seating your consciousness in the center of your head, which is your sixth chakra. And then I'll just get you all so you can release energy and release that focus down your grounding cord and open your eyes. And for anyone who participated in that, that's either in the YouTube chat or the Facebook chat, I want to invite you to share your experience. So tell me, what was your main emotion? And what were you aware of about your main emotion when you were in your second chakra? And what were you aware of about your main emotion when you were in your sixth chakra? And let's gather a little poll about that, and then we'll talk about it some more. Corey, did you do that exercise?
Yes, I did.
So what did you notice about your emotions? What was your
Well,
main
going
emotion?
into it, I had a worry, like concern about some stuff.
Yeah.
But going into there, allowing it to regurgitate, if you want to call it that, I was able to cleanse that. Now
So
I'm smiling.
right, so you shifted your emotion.
Yes, I did.
Which we can do. It wasn't part of the exercise, but absolutely we can shift our emotion. Which we can.
I'm just an A student, you know.
Yes, well
A
done.
plus.
But did you notice the difference when you sat in two finger
Yeah,
widths?
definitely.
What was the difference that you noticed?
Well, I came out of my body and into my emotional state itself. It was there.
When you were down in the second chakra.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was it like when you were in your sixth chakra?
I lost that part. I think I was just down in my second chakra without.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Well,
think I just stayed there.
yeah, that second chakra area, that is your emotional center. And so it is a place where you will be exactly how you said, in that experience of the emotion.
Yeah, we've got some responses here.
Okay.
Losing my voice tonight. Lorraine says love and joy. I said worry. Brian said it's still not sure. He's at peace. And then Lorraine said love rising to joy. Tina says some fear, some anger, and also love. And Michelle says hungry.
I don't know if that's an emotion.
I'm not sure if I think that's a physical state. And so when she was in the center of her head, she saw color red. And then I was in my second chakra, I saw the color yellow.
Okay.
I always see yellow when I'm in my first or second chakra.
Do you?
Almost always.
Okay. So we got a range of emotions. Any more from anyone else on YouTube?
No,
Or
things are,
okay.
people are still processing.
Okay, so we actually, in that list of emotions that people contributed, we got the lowest vibration emotion on the emotional scale and the highest emotional vibration on the emotional scale. So does anyone know which is the lowest emotional vibration that exists?
Hunger.
No. No.
I know. Pick me.
What's the answer, Corey?
Fear.
Fear. Yes, it is. And what's the highest?
Love.
Love. So, yeah, love is the top of the emotional scale as humans that we experience, and fear is the lowest of that. And we can think of the emotions actually like a scale that are going from a low vibration all the way up to a very high vibration. And if you think about it, in some ways we can simplify it and say, well, emotions, they either feel good, positive, or kind of bad and negative, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody said joy. Well, that feels good. Two people said joy. That feels good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else said peace. Well, that's a good feeling emotion as well. But then we also had angry and fear. Don't feel quite so good. And even the person that said hungry, I bet you if she searched, she could find an emotion that went with that. Maybe frustration, you know, the body gets frustrated. Why aren't you feeding me? So there are emotions that are a lower vibration and they don't feel so positive. And then there are emotions that feel more positive. And through any day in our lives, we are going through a range of different emotions and a range of different emotional frequencies, aren't we? So everybody, think about your day to day. Just close your eyes and just go back over your day to day and see how many different emotions you can recall feeling. And again, type them and let us know. How about you, Corey? If you think about your day to day, what emotions, apart from worry, did you feel?
Oh, all kinds came through. Peace, concern, joy, love, all of them. Just right straight through the mega. Every experience causes a different emotion. So it's
Right,
just a matter of, what are you feeling at that instant,
right.
and what stimuli I think we allow different stimuli to affect our emotional bodies, as well as our psychic or our physiological, even our physiological, but our psychological bodies. And that's the issue. We allow these emotions to control our life, our reality.
Well, we can get stuck. We can either be in a state of emotional flow, which is really as a child. If you think about a child, they're happy, they're crying, they're screaming, they're screeching with joy, and they fluctuate through their emotions with no problem. Their emotions are in a state of flow. But I'm sure you all can think of somebody who's stuck in depression, who's stuck in grief, who's stuck in sadness, who's stuck in fear, whose emotions are perhaps less fluid. Do we have some people commenting on what happened during their day?
No, not yet. But you made a comment there that I found interesting. In studying the psychology of people, I found that like depression, people generally aren't depressed 24/7. They're only depressed a certain amount of time. And when you ask them, I always ask people not, how do you feel? I always ask them, what do you feel? Like it's about how are you depressed? Like not about what causes it or anything like that, but like what is it that you're doing that makes you can think you're depressed? And you see people go into thought, and their depression leaves them. They start querying why or what like how does this work? They start looking at the workings as opposed to the being. You've got a couple more. We got gratitude, excitement, peace, and love. And now we've got what's called break time.
Oh gosh. So I didn't even get to make my point about that yet. Well,
No.
we'll be back after these messages. Welcome back, listeners. Today on Unlocking Your Truth, we're talking about emotions and how they relate to manifestation. And so before the break, we were asking people who are listening live to do a little review of their day and to talk about how many different emotions did you go through during the day and start to have an awareness of your emotional reality. And why I was having you do that is so that you can start to see what is your emotional set point. Are you more frequently in higher vibration emotions or lower vibration emotions? Where is your emotional set point? So where is your vibration sitting overall when it comes to the emotions? Why do we want to know that? Well, if you are having issues with manifesting the life that you want, we want to look at your vibration. We want to look at what energy is it that you are putting out. And one of those parts of that overall energy is your emotions and your emotional set point. Because somebody who is spending more time in gratitude and love and peace and joy is going to get quite a different result than somebody who is spending more time in fear and grief and shame. And there's no judgment here. There's just an observation that you get what you put out. And I would think most of us want to manifest a life that feels full of love and joy and gratitude. Most of us don't want to create a life that feels full of things that make us feel ashamed or aggrieved or frustrated. And so if you're asking the question, why is my life showing up like this in this way that I don't like? One of the places you can find an answer is to look at your emotional flow. Are your emotions flowing? Do you have lots of stuck emotions from the past? And where are you spending most of your time vibrationally on an emotional level? Because that will give you some clues. And then from there, if you're finding that, you discover that, oh, I'm spending quite a bit of my time, well, when I'm at home or I'm listening to a podcast, I feel quite happy. That's quite a lot of fun. But every day when I'm at work, I'm in resistance and I hate my boss, and I'm feeling hate towards my boss and anger towards my, underling or then wow, that's 8 hours of my day that's spent in that vibration. And then, so how do you change that? And Corey showed us earlier, actually, you can energetically shift your emotion.
Well, it's very, I won't say easy. It's simple, not always easy. But for everybody that's out there, take a second and think of that negative emotion that you were feeling today, or put yourself in a position where you're feeling a negative emotion towards somebody or something. And now get into it. Become angry. Manifest that irritation, that fear, that negativity. Okay, like you're manifesting it. Now, what I want you to do is take your arms and put your arms right around whatever that is. If it's a friend, if it's a colleague, somebody in your life, the raccoon that raids your garbage at night, whatever. Take your arms and in your mind's eye, put your arms around that aspect of anger or fear, and just love it. Just love. Just go into love. And take a couple of seconds and just do that. Just go in and love that person. Just love him. Just love. And what you'll notice is gone. That fear, that anger, the negativity disappears because you're in love now. You're in the emotion of love. So anger and joy, and no matter what emotion you have, it is easily changed.
Yeah, emotions are a vibration, and so you can shift to a better feeling emotion. Now, sometimes that exercise that Corey just did might not work. Sometimes we're not ready to move on from something that we're in resistance. But one thing that you can do, rather than just straight away loving that thing, is find something that you do love, find something that you can love, and then expand that love that you might feel for your puppy or your baby. Expand that love to encompass the thing that you are having an issue with. Now, of course, like I said, this is one part of the recipe of manifestation, and there are others. And I'll just mention one other thing that we tend to do with our emotions is we have an emotion and we want to explain it. And then the mental aspect comes in, the thoughts come in that say, well, I'm feeling angry right now. Why am I feeling angry? Oh, it must be because I'm angry at that person. Well, it might be, but not necessarily. Because so there could be other things that explain your emotion. One explanation could be actually there's someone else in your life who's feeling angry in that moment, and because you're not owning your space from that person, you're channeling their anger, and that anger actually has absolutely nothing to do with you, but you think it does because it's in your space, and you can't tell the difference yet between someone else's emotion and your own emotion. So emotion, the other aspect of this emotional thing is we want to own our own energetic space so that the only vibes, the only emotions that's in our space are ours and belong to us and are messages from our body that we can respond to. But it can get quite complicated if you've got, I don't know, a big family, your partner and 6 kids, and everyone and the dog is in your space. You're experiencing the emotional reality of all of them, all mixed up together. And so that it can be confusing for you to really know how you are truly feeling. And it also is putting out a very confused signal to the universe about what you're wanting to manifest. It's not a clear signal anymore. Everyone else is muddled in there. Talking about raccoons, Corey, the raccoon has knocked over your lovely garden sculpture.
Oh, well.
Oh, indifference, I guess, is an emotion. I thought that might provoke another emotion.
No.
Oh,
He also knocked over one of my brick walls too. So
oh no.
usually using the right frame of mind last night. I found, like I said, 2 of the glass balls in the pond out on the lawn. So there was like a frenzy going on last night. They were playing soccer, it looks like.
Raccoon party, yeah. Anyway, we diverge off on a tangent about raccoons, which is a creature that evokes strong emotions, I have to say, especially when it poops under your step all the time.
Even worse if it poops on your step.
Yes. All right. So do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. Michelle says, Michelle made a statement. She said, vibrationally, I feel like I'm on the observation deck, looking down at Earth and not in the moment, just looking at the experience.
Okay. So Michelle, how grounded are you? Did you join in when we did that exercise? And what did it feel like when you grounded? Because you may be on the observation deck, and there might be different reasons why you're on the observation deck. One might be that you're not grounded and you're not actually in your body participating from within this vehicle that you've created to experience this life through. So check your grounding and see if you feel more engaged in your reality by grounding. Now, the other thing I had you all do was be in the center of your head. And that is a kind of observation deck where you can be the neutral observer of your reality, but an engaged and neutral observer of your reality, rather than a disassociated, far away observer of your reality. Who else has a comment or question?
I have another one here, but I'm having some issues with my copy and paste. So let me go back up here. Ali says, what if you want to manifest several different things? Can you do that all in one meditation, so to speak?
Yeah, there are ways that you can do that. The short answer is yes. And there are lots of meditation techniques that you can use to do that. I have a really great full-on manifestation course, but also in my Unlock Your Intuition course, we do some manifestation work. And I would say that, I mean, it's possible for you to visualize yourself having all the things that you want. You can outpicture that all in one picture. I don't know what it is that you're wanting to manifest, but you can certainly envision a life that incorporates all of those things. And feel the way that you would feel if you had all of those things. How do you imagine you would feel if you have what you want? And then adjust your vibration and your emotion that you're feeling now to be a match for that. And then that brings you closer to that creation by being in the vibe of how that makes you feel.
Interesting. Hey, I have a question from Tina that she sent in earlier. Tina says, I keep manifesting physical ailments. Can you please take a look to see why I'm doing this? It feels like self-sabotage.
Yeah, and I think Tina was the one earlier that talked about having a vibration of fear in her system. And remember, we said that fear is a very low vibration. And in actual fact, when there is fear in the system, the energy is not moving. Fear is static, it's stuck, it's stationary. To be healthy, the energy needs to be flowing. So areas where there's fear in the system, the energy is not flowing. And if the energy is not flowing, then we can end up with a physical ailment. So one simple answer to that question is that relates to the theme that we're talking about is to address that fear and to clear that fear from your space. Now we're keeping it simple because we're talking about just the emotional side, but oftentimes the fear is packaged together in the system with an event that happened. So let's say a terrible event happened. We were in an accident. We witnessed an accident. We were attacked. We were abused. Different things like that. And we felt afraid when that happened. And then we store the picture memory of that event, and it includes the emotion, and we put it somewhere in our system. And then it sits there and it blocks the energy. So what we need to do is we need to find those energy packages of fear, those pictures, those memories, those things where the energy is blocked, and clear them from the system. So it has to do with energy flow. And, if we can, immerse ourselves in a vibration of love and gratitude and happiness, then that's a very different physical result of that than if we sit in constantly wash ourselves in fear or shame or unworthiness, for example. So thank you for that question, Tina. And it's a case of, and Tina I know has lots of techniques because she's done my course. So it's using the techniques that you know to clear those memories and those deposits of fear in your system.
Okay, there's another question from Tina. Tina says, even though I feel a lot of gratitude and joy throughout the day, I think that shame is there underlying everything. I'm realizing that I carry so much shame from a belief that I'm not good enough. I'm working on trying to release that belief down my grounding cord and putting the shame in roses and exploding them. Any other thoughts, suggestions on how to work with this?
Well, I mean, I think that you're doing a good job there, and you're keeping it simple. And sometimes if there's been something that has been with us for years, take somebody's childhood. Let's say you had a mum that made you feel guilty and ashamed all the time. I'm not saying that you did, but let's imagine that you did. Well, maybe you lived with her for 18 years. That's 18 years of constantly being immersed in that. So sometimes these things run deep, and it takes a little bit of time to peel away the layers. And so, I would just say, keep on going with it. I actually already answered a bit of extra information to this question in answering your previous one, which is to say, where is it stored in your body, right? And then work specifically with that area. And there are some other advanced techniques that I can teach you to do that, Tina, if you wanted to connect on that level. There are some other things that you can do as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I'm glad that Tina asked the question that way, because what she said was, well, I feel through the day, I do feel gratitude and joy. And yet there's this underlying tone. And one thing we didn't talk about is emotional denial. So a lot of people will say, oh, I'm happy, everything's wonderful, I'm full of love and light. But actually, there's some kind of emotional denial that's going on. And like in Tina's example, there's underlying vibrations stored in your system that you're ignoring. And unless you identify them and clear them out, that is affecting your vibration. We have to go to another break. We'll be back after these messages.
Massage. Okay.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth, talking about emotions and how emotions relate to manifestation. And just before the break, we were mentioning sometimes we are in denial of our emotions, aren't we? We want to present a shiny surface. Everything's great. Whether at work we have to appear, oh, everything's great. Or whether we want to say, oh, well, I'm a very evolved person and it's all love and light. But the truth might be something a little bit different than that. And so we can have what I call perfect pictures about our emotions. And one emotion that many of us deny is the emotion of hatred. I've heard so many people say over the years, oh, there's not an ounce of hatred within me. Oh, no, I don't hate anyone. But we're human. We have the full emotional scale all the way from fear to love. And I bet you there's not a human being in existence that hasn't felt the emotion of hate at some point. So we don't want to judge emotions. Another one that we judge is anger. We'll often judge anger. Oh, it's not okay to be angry. More so often as well, if you're in a female body, oh no, you've not got permission to be angry. You have to stuff it all down. But emotions are meant to be expressed. And if we express them, then they move through our system like clouds and we can move on to the next thing. But if we repress them and stuff them down, then that's stuck there in your energy field, And whether you're saying you don't feel hate or fear or this or that, if it's there, it's there. And that is the signal that you're putting out to the universe, whether you acknowledge it or not. So, well, I would love to hear from other listeners if they have questions about emotions and manifestation or anything else that you'd like to ask about.
Sounds good. We have a question from Allie. Allie says, thank you. The other question I have is, how often do you really need to sit and visualize? Or is it just a matter of putting it out to the universe, then feeling those emotions throughout your day to day until it comes to fruition? If that makes sense. Hard to put into words.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got the idea there, Ali. I mean, the trick is often where people will fall down is if it doesn't show up quickly enough, they will lose their patience and then their vibration will drop and then they're no longer a match for it. So remember, you exist in time and space, right? So as spirit, what you're asking for already exists. You've already created it, but what you haven't done is anchored it into physical reality. So you need to maintain the vibrational match for that thing long enough for it to appear through the mechanism of time and space. Good one. Thank you.
Good. And this is from Beautiful Gem. Can you speak to manifesting from your soul versus manifesting from the ego?
Okay. So, and we might have to make a few definitions here. So you are spirit. Let's say you are spirit, you are consciousness, and you have a body. And you created the body to create as spirit through the body. But then as spirit, you have these body levels to contend with. The emotions, the thoughts, and the ego. And actually the sex drive, all of these things about the body can be dominant. And so part of the spiritual path is to put spirit in charge, whereas in most people it's ego that's in charge, or one of those other things that I mentioned. So it is a process of, I don't know whether the word is sublimating the ego, but knowing the difference, and as spirit being in charge of your energy field, rather than allowing the ego to be in charge of your energy field. Now, you are creating your reality by the vibration that you are all the time. If as spirit you haven't taken seniority for your energy field, then what's being created is what's coming out of the ego, all of that stuff. Whereas if you have a level of mastery and you are awake and aware as spirit within the physical system, then you can consciously create as spirit. Now, that aspect of spirit is also, well, let's see. Sometimes what you want to create from that level of your being may be absolutely in alignment with your soul. Sometimes what you're conscious of wanting to create might be different from what the soul is creating. And one example might be when we die. You know, the soul has decided that this is the time, the culmination of this lifetime. And it's possible for you to know that or be okay with that. But probably for most people, we don't allow ourselves to consciously go there. And so sometimes there's a different agenda from the higher being, perhaps, than what you're conscious of. So I hope that gives you a little bit of information in answer to your question, Jen, and thank you for asking it.
Yes, thank you. This is from Brian. Brian says, could you speak a little more about releasing the fear? If you don't remember where it comes from, how it started. I'm guessing since I've had digestive issues and some with my left arm, some of it may be stored there.
Okay. Well, to keep it simple, one of the things that we talk about on this show, and we did in this show, is we grounded, didn't we? We created an energy flow from the first chakra to the center of the earth. You can use that to release your fear. So you can, if you're aware of the sensation of the fear in your body, you can simply invite that to loosen up and flow down your grounding. So you can use your intention to send the fear down your grounding. Now, there might be fear in your system that you know about. There might be fear that you're not conscious of, but you still can direct all fear in my system down my grounding. Now, that's not to say that we attain a particular state of being where now I have transcended fear. You're in a body and, things happen in a body. So we're constantly going through emotions. But you can definitely clean out a deposit or a repository of some heavy emotion that's in your system. And while there are other techniques that you can use, grounding would work really, really well as well. So I hope that helps you.
Yeah. The thing about physical or even emotional issues in your life today, most of it comes back from traumas that you had in the past. And like Dr. Leslie says, you don't have to know exactly what the trauma is that caused the problem. You can let it go. But sometimes if you're having issues with it, then working with somebody to like Dr. Leslie or myself, to learn what caused the trauma. For instance, I just went back to look at your the issue with your arm, and I got you at 9 years old, and there was a major trauma that you had at 9 years old. It may not have seemed like a trauma, quote unquote, at the time, but it was for that little 9-year-old boy who was grabbing for something. Now, they wanted to take it, whether it was yours, not yours, whether you were trying to, pilfer something from the local candy shop or not. I can't tell you. But what's coming is with a parent, probably your mother, said no. And she didn't slap you or anything, but she verbally slapped your wrist. And for some reason, you thought that what you were grabbing for was yours. It was, and it belonged to you, regardless of what it was. And it stayed with you. And something in your more recent past has triggered that again. Something that you thought you needed or was yours was refused to you again. And that stimulated this left arm issue. Now, the easiest thing to do is to go back in time, and I'll do that. I'll go back in time and I'll change the event. I'll remove the trauma from that event. We'll just go back in and we'll pull out a different reality from there that doesn't have that trauma associated with it. So we'll bring that in, and take it out, and then we'll just domino that through your life until it comes down. Now, what's happened is I've changed that aspect at 9 years old. I don't know if you can remember it or not. If you think about it, you probably will remember something. Most people do eventually. And what'll happen is it takes a little while to domino through, but you'll find over the next couple of days, don't look for a cure, don't look for healing. Just notice what's different in your life in the way of your emotions. And then one day you'll just notice that the pain is not there anymore and that emotion has changed. So you can go for that.
Cool.
Cool.
You can let us know next week, Brian.
Again, don't focus on it. Just allow it to be. And you'll be amazed at what change. A lot can change, because what you're actually doing is you're changing your reality base. Because I changed the reality from that trauma to a different reality from a different reality source. So everything, a lot of things that have built itself upon that specific trauma will have changed. And it doesn't cause this nuclear change in your life, but it will cause that physical change to dissipate. And it's amazing what little things in your life that have happened can cause a trauma, even though you don't think they're trauma based. And you don't have to remember them, because they could occur in like when you're still in the womb, in vitro, or even from a past life. And that's very common, actually. Dr. Leslie didn't touch on that, but a lot of the emotions and traumas you're feeling today occur from past lives as well. Not just this life, not just this reality.
But usually if there is something carried forth from a past life, there also is something in the current life that connects with that resonates with that. So usually there is both.
So this is from SG, and SG says, hi, I've been dealing with candida overgrowth for years and wanted to know if you can see what I can do to balance my body again. It messes with my health, emotions, and esteem. It really got me down 2 days ago. Down 2 day. No, down 2 day. Okay.
Okay. Well, often something like candida is relating to something we talked about earlier, because it's an overgrowth of energy, foreign energy in your space, basically. So we want to look at not just the physical symptom, but we want to look at, what's the root of this. So one question I would have for you is, did you recognize yourself in that idea when we were talking earlier of lots of other energy in your space, you know, maybe not being able to even discern what's my emotion and what's somebody else's, either because you've got a big family, or maybe you think of yourself like an empath, you know, I can't go to the supermarket because I sponge up and suck up everybody else's energy. So one reason could be relating to that, relating to you not being in charge and not taking ownership of your energetic space and having foreign energy in your space. And so then if we deal with that as an energetic level, it's about learning to own your space and move out the foreign energy. And then from there, the Candida would take care of itself. I'll also just look and see if there's any other reason. And I'm wondering if the Candida overgrowth is it all over, or is it in the particular area? Let's see. Yeah, it feels like my life is not my own. And it definitely feels like, I don't know, my second chakra and everything to do with that, which is, you know, sex and sexuality and emotions and all of that is not my own. So it feels like that there's some invasion, some energetic invasion that makes you feel like my life is not my own. And so it's to get seniority over that.
Well, Dr. Leslie, it looks like it's pretty close to the show.
Okay.
And somebody else sent in a suggested topic for next week, which was talking about astral travel and soul traveling. And I looked on our schedule, and we haven't spoken about that for quite a while. So I think what we'll do is next week we'll do that. How's that sound?
Sounds good. All right, let's do that. So
Yep.
thank you, everybody, and come to the show next week, because that's what we'll be talking about. Oh, and before you go, if you do have topics that you'd like to suggest, we would appreciate you typing them in, because that helps us with our programming, and it helps us to talk about things that you want to hear about.
Oh yeah, and Brian sent in, says, thank you, Corey. I'm not sure if I understood exactly if you actually shifted what had happened, but I appreciate it. I don't remember anything at 9, but that doesn't mean anything either. I'll keep an eye out. Exactly what I did is I actually shifted what occurred to a better outcome or a better experience. And yeah, it does shift straight through your life. And actually, one day you'll sit there and you go, I remember that. Say around 9 or 10, but probably around 9. Anyway, sorry, Dr. Leslie, that was it.
Thank you. All right, we'll be back same time, same place next week.
That's